This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
A little bit, but Thayer's played obviously before. That was kind of the intent anyway, and I thought he went in there and represented himself the right way. So we'll see how Jermaine's doing, and we don't have every update yet.
Josh, 5 games in, your offense hasn't gotten over 20 points. You're now getting into the meat of the schedule. Mm-hmm. What are some things as a coach you do? Is there changes? What things do you do to get that production up?
I mean, we got to do a lot of things a little bit better. There's no one answer. We've had stretches where we've run the ball well. We've had stretches where we've thrown it well. We've had stretches where we've protected well. We've had stretches where we've scored in the red zone. And then, we have just enough plays here and there to stop us from really getting into a consistent rhythm. And so the good is that the fight and the effort is there, and also that we haven't played our best. And so we know that as coaches and players, we want to try to do everything we can every week to try to improve, and hopefully our best is in front of us.
In terms of offensive production, you noticed Jim Garoppolo getting a lot of other guys involved yesterday. Do you think that that's something that's more of an effort that's kind of been preached, or was it more organic?
I think it has to happen when they put so much attention on Devontae and Josh, and they definitely, gave their fair share of attention to Tay. And then they had some things where they were down there near the box, with JJ. So I think, the tight ends, got into the rhythm of the game a little bit yesterday early, and Trey and DeAndre, Hunter, made some different plays at different times during the course of the game. So, yeah, I mean, we want, we have a lot of faith and confidence in all our skill players. So when they're out there, we have no problem throwing them the ball or attempting to get it to them. So I thought for the most part we tried to take what was given to us as opposed to force it, somewhere. So the ball got distributed to a number of different people, and I think that was the reason.
Part of that is predicated on being able to block it as well. When you have as many weapons as you do on the field, spreading it out, asking your 5 to block, their
5.
Exactly.
Yep.
But how much does the offensive line has struggled a little bit to do that? How much has that dictated what you're able to do in terms of getting other wide receivers out there on the tight ends and get them in the pattern?
Yeah, I mean, it's a give and a take, and we've definitely had good stretches where we've handled, some tough fronts and stayed inside out and gotten the ball out on time and been able to, distribute a bunch of people into the pattern. And then there's been some times where, that's been more of a challenge at times. Again, there's no shortcut to that, but there is a balance, and we gave up a few things early in the game yesterday in an obvious passing situation. Again, we can do a few things better to help ourselves, but I think that's throwing the football obviously starts with, protecting, being on the same page, the quarterback moving in the pocket subtly if he needs to, finding identifying the coverage after the ball snapped, and then trying to find the first good option. So the more you put out, the less protection you have, and the more the emphasis goes on just sheer one-on-one matchups and protection. And look, at the end of the day, football is going to always come down to those things. The matchups, you got to either protect or run a good route, or everybody's in a one-on-one battle at some point. So like I said, we've had stretches where we've been very productive and others where we need to improve, and that'll be another area we keep talking about.
As the game goes on, does that how your offensive line might be playing alter how, or just affect some of the decisions or that you make? Or?
I think you have to take everything into consideration. It might be how you're throwing it, or how you're, if you're getting open against man coverage. There's a lot of things you would take into consideration in terms of decision making and how to play the game. When it comes down to one play decisions here or there, but. Again, I have confidence in all our guys. I love the way we practiced last week. And sometimes you have to feel the kind of game you're in too. The type of game it's kind of unfolding in front of your eyes, and what's happening on both sides. When you're the play caller and that's all you are, you want to do it. You don't want to ever kick it. You know what I mean? I mean, when I was an offensive coordinator, that's what I felt. When you're the head coach, you're trying to understand the entirety of the game. What's happening on the other side, how we're kicking it, how they're, playing offense, how we're playing defense, et cetera, and kind of try to make the decisions that are best for the team.
That gets lost a little bit in the world of analytics, where there's a number at the very end of the year that says if you do this, your 5% chance, you increase by 5% if you do this instead of that. But they don't take into account maybe the things that you just talked about.
Yeah, I mean, we have our fair share of analytics, and I think sometimes when you just say you have a 63% chance of doing this if you do that, and what they don't mention is there's like 27 different variables in between those two things that are going to happen. We have 11 guys on the field. They have 11 guys on the field. Their coordinator could call something different. What are we calling? Who's the stress on? Is it a blitz? Is it not a blitz? Is it, playing zone? Are they playing man? The injuries, our guys out, their guys. There's so many other things that go into analytics. I just, you got to take it with a grain of salt. If you have confidence in the play or the defense that you're going to call, great. If you understand the scenario in the game, the situation in the game, the circumstances, you might feel differently. So I've always thought analytics are always skewed towards just the offense's ability to do something as opposed to the defense. And we have 3 phases, that play out there every week, and if your defense is playing well or your kickers are kicking really well or your, whatever it is, that also plays a role in analytics, which I think sometimes gets lost in translation.
You mentioned that Devontae got last night. Do you watch that film and say you should have got more targets? Is that something you care about or look at in terms of?
If this is multiple years that you go through this, and everybody takes their shot and does different things and tries to discourage, disrupt, take away, whatever you want to call it. Your best players, however they choose to do it. Some teams play what they've played all year. Some teams take a big, drastic swing at doing something different. And when that happens, there's other options to find him, ways to get the ball in his hands, which eventually we did. But until the game kind of declares, sometimes it takes just a little bit of kind of seeing how it's all unfolding. And we're going to have to live with that sometimes, where if we just keep trying to force it and that's the only focus that you have, sometimes that can be a problem. But, he still found a way to make a big impact in the game. That, bunch of catches on the big drive there in the third quarter. But we've done a lot of things to try to effectively counter those things, and we have to continue to do that.
There's an update on Nick Hobbs or Bennett?
Say it again.
An update on Nick Hobbs or Jacorian?
Nothing right now. I mean, obviously they weren't able to participate yesterday, so another couple of days of treatment here. Hopefully we're headed in the right direction with both of them.
Josh, last week was a big week, obviously, for Devontae going against the Packers. You and a lot of other people in the building went through this last year with the Patriots. How much does that help to kind of ease this year's game, knowing that you've already gone through it?
You're talking about this week coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of, the horse is dead. We've beat it enough, you know what I mean? I mean, it is what it is, so, every week you got somebody used to play there, or they know somebody on that staff, or whatever it is. So, it's game 6 for us. We got to do a good job of focusing on what we can do to improve from yesterday and get ready for a team that presents a lot of different challenges.
Josh, you referenced teams changing. Green Bay yesterday blitzed a lot more than they have all year.
Yep.
One person on their team told me it was more than they have all year.
Yep.
Is that part that goes into, you can have a great game plan or whatever, but their game planning as well and having to make the on-the-fly adjustments?
Yeah, I do. Again, I think there's so many good coaches in this league that, some of them can stay with what they've been doing and what you've seen on film and really get the best out of their group. And sometimes the move is to change what you've been doing sometimes, and they had the little mini bye, which we knew coming into the game, we figured we'd see some different things from them, and we did. And they're extremely well coached. I think that needs to be said, in every phase. And so, they challenged us with some different pressures, some on rundowns, which were interesting, really good calls on their part. And then they mixed in their coverages. It's not a big split safety team, and yet we saw a fair share of it against our guys, and especially 17. So, those are the things you have to adjust to during the course of the game. I thought as the game went on, we got acclimated a little bit better to it and did some things to counter it. So, but that's the game within the game.
Josh, Bill Belichick is going through a little bit of a rough stretch here with his team. There's even talk that maybe he's on the hot seat and that thing. But you've been around him a lot. When the going does get a little tough for him, how does he usually deal with that? Problem solver,
Yeah, he's been in every situation you can imagine. I can't speak for him on that, but I've been around them long enough to know that that no matter how bad or how good it is, it's usually kind of like this inside the building, inside the walls of the building. So I have great respect for their team and for their coaching staff, and obviously for Bill. And they'll be ready to play, and they got a lot of things that they do that create issues for you. So we're going to have to, on a short week, get ready for a lot of different things. We have not seen a team that plays like this, so there's a lot of challenges inherently in getting ready for them. And like I said, I'm sure he'll have them ready to go.
Josh, committing turnovers has been an issue for the offense so far. Outside of obviously just saying not to give the ball away, what goes into trying to prevent those from a coaching standpoint?
Boy, there's a lot of things. Obviously, preparation is important so that you can avoid, potential issues, pitfalls that the defense wants to try to get you to fall into. I think we've worked really hard going all the way back to last year on our overall ball security when we have the ball as runners. And I think for the most part, we run properly. I'm not saying we can't do it better, but we run properly and try to take care of the football and protect it late in the play. From every team's now a strip and punch team. We say it every week to our team, and you see it on TV, you see it everywhere. Everybody who's tackling is trying to punch the ball, tomahawk the ball. I think we've done a decent job of that. And with relative to the quarterbacks, those are ultimately come down to recognition and decision making in the moment. And so. There's a lot of good plays, and we just have to keep working to try to make sure that we see in front of the crossing receivers, or we don't let the pressure speed our clock up a little bit too quickly, so that we make a decision that's going to hurt the team. So our quarterbacks are trying their butt off to try to take care of the ball. Obviously it's one of the things we preach every week, every day. And we need to try to play that turnover-free game. We're still hunting for it. Yesterday we were close, but made the one play that also ultimately turned into some points for them. So have to continue to work at it in practice too.
Sure, you've taken a look at Amik's interception to end the game, but when you look at it and for, kind of appreciate it for the play that it was, especially at that moment, what are your thoughts on that pick?
Just I said after the game, he's such a good kid, and he plays so many different roles. And he didn't flinch when our corner situation was a little in flux last week. He's like starts, I might be replacing Hobbs, then he ends up replacing Bennett, and it's kind of like you never saw any flinch from Amik at all. And I thought he made a great play on the ball, and the first thing he did was find the ball, and a lot of times guys in that situation may not turn, and then they end up running into the receiver, and then you have a penalty and you're on the 1 yard line. But I thought he turned, made the right play, found the ball, caught the ball, stayed in bounds. His vertical was, apparent on that play. So he's a great athlete, he's a great kid, and really happy he's on our team, and we needed him yesterday to win.
Josh, when you have a rookie like Tyree, you don't know what he can do in the NFL yet, but Jimmy, you do.
Mm-hmm.
He's got more interceptions than touchdowns. Do you spend extra time with him? Do you just let him work through it himself? How do you handle that as a coach?
we're definitely we're not overdoing it, but you have to address the things that we think we can do better, and there's a litany of those things. I'm not talking about the quarterback position. I'm just saying, we're still in week, we just came off of week 5, and I'd say there's a lot of things that a lot of players can do better to help our team improve collectively. And for us as at the quarterback position. Clearly, the number one thing that we want to do going forward, obviously, is take care of the football. And one's too many. We know that. He knows that. He'd be the first one to tell you that. And so, again, an area of right now it seems like an area that we're not doing very well in. It wouldn't be a strength yet, but we want to turn it into a strength. And so we're going to keep doing all the things that we've done to try to prepare the quarterbacks to do the right thing. And then ultimately, challenge them in practice with some funky looks where they have to maybe throw it away or take the right check down or whatever it is, just so we can continue to work on it and develop a good habit.
Defense came away with 3 turnovers. Obviously a Meeks that sealed the deal, but the first 2 by Robert turned into 3 points. Does it almost feel like the job was half done because you got the turnover?
Yeah, especially the first one. We get down there and it just didn't execute as well as we would have liked, but credit those guys on defense. That's it's the opposite of what we're talking about with taking care of the ball. They've worked extremely hard in practice at doing the things necessary to create opportunities. All we're talking about is opportunities. We just want an opportunity to get a turnover, you know what I mean? And then ultimately you got to try to capitalize on it. But I thought Spill did a good job on the 2. Marcus made a great play on the second interception of his, and then obviously a Meek. So, nothing helps you more on defense than creating a turnover and creating field position and all the rest of it. So we got to do a better job of capitalizing on our opportunities offensively once we get them. But it was good to see the defense really, really do a good job of getting the ball.
On that sequence at the end of the first half at the 7-yard line, in hindsight, would you want to see the ball thrown in the end zone or just?
Say one more time, Vic. After the turnover.
Yeah.
We didn't do a good job on the first down play. It was a run. Then the second down play, we had opportunities, and I thought we were just a little quick. We had multiple people going towards the end zone, but we were a little quick with the decision. I think Jimmy would be the first one to tell you that. We were fast with it. And then you get into that gray area. 3rd and long at the 10 or whatever that play was at the last play, and that's my call. Of whether or not we stand there and because when you're at the 10, you're running 15 to 20-yard routes to get in the end zone. You're holding the ball a little bit. There's a give and a take on that, and that was my call. Good to go? Okay. Thanks, guys.
You've been watching Breaking News from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.